After nearly 3 decades covering the Buffalo Bills, this guy knows what he's talking about. Welcome to Sal Speak, the place to be for hard-hitting analysis from Sal Maiorana of the Democrat and Chronicle.
Hello everyone and welcome to Sal Speak. I am Sal Maiorana and that is Leo Roth, the Democrat and Chronicle's columnist. I cover the Bills for the paper and we are here live on Facebook. We'd love people, tell people to go to our Facebook page at the Democrat and Chronicle. You can participate in the show by asking us questions, so we would hope that we're going to keep building this for the future. But today, you're here. Thanks for being here. And Leo, we've got quite an interesting week for the Bills with San Francisco coming to town. But that really isn't the whole story. Colin Kaepernick is coming to town. He's going to start his first game this season. And we all know that Kaepernick has been a lightning rod for controversy this season. You're doing a big story on him for Sunday's paper, digital before that. Why don't you talk us through what you learned yesterday and what we might see in the paper and online coming up here?
Well, you know, of course, everyone knows where Colin Kaepernick has come from, starting in August in the preseason, and to where he is now. And of course, he was battling a lot of injuries. He lost his starting job under a new coach in Chip Kelly. He's healthy. The 49ers are struggling. They need a spark, and Chip Kelly can do one of the only few things he can do at this point, just like Rex Ryan firing an assistant coach. He's put his Blaine Gabbert on the bench, and he's going to go back to Colin Kaepernick, who has a Super Bowl appearance on his resume and can be a very dangerous, fine quarterback when he's healthy. It's been a while since he's been at that plateau, but he's a guy that the Bills cannot sleep on, that's for sure. And Rex Ryan talked about that. We'll get into Kaepernick, the football player, a little bit later. But there's also Kaepernick, the social crusader, refusing to stand for the national anthem. He kneels now to protest in support of the Black Lives Matter movement and some of the police shootings of African Americans that have occurred in the country. He's taken a stance, Sal. You were there yesterday. We got to hear Colin Kaepernick on a conference call, and I wish everyone could, you know, regardless of how you feel about Kaepernick and the way he's chosen to protest, which is his right as an American, and I think everyone agrees on that. I think we all kind of say, you know, we don't maybe support the way he's chosen, but we support his right to do so. But if you know, when you talk to him, and I think you came away feeling the same way yesterday, is that he's very articulate, he's very passionate, he's very committed to what he's doing. And in that regard, he deserves respect for that. He's got a conversation started.
He does. And
come Sunday, it's going to be right in front of everybody at New Era Field, and this time as a starter. And I think one of the angles is that he's raised his platform as a starter compared to being a backup.
Yes. Now, you're right, Leo. I mean, this game is much more about, you know, Kaepernick, the football player. It's going to be, you know, the stance he's taking. Now he's finally starting. Before, he was a backup quarterback. He wasn't playing. And while the stage, I think, was pretty big because of, you know, the conversation, like you said, that he started, now he's going to be on the field, and he's actually a starting quarterback. And I think more people might pay attention to what he's talking about. I think it's very interesting in his conversation with us yesterday. He came off as pretty eloquent to me, and I didn't expect that. I have never interviewed Colin Kaepernick. I've never talked to him, but on this conference call, he came off like a very intelligent kid who knows exactly what he's trying to do. He believes in his cause, and whether you agree with it or not, you have to give him credit for the way he's going about doing it. He tried to do this in a quiet manner, Leo. He was kneeling, and nobody even paid attention until Steve Weish from NFL Network happened to see it at a preseason game and asked him, and that's how this whole thing started. So I give him credit for, he didn't publicize what he was doing. It just happened, you know, when you do something like that, I guess it'll get recognized at some point. But he has not been over the top throughout this whole, whatever, it's been 2 months since it first came to light. He's doing it in a quiet way, and now the volume just gets turned up now because he's a starting quarterback.
Right, and now some of the storylines are, well, okay, how does his role now as a starter affect his team in light of the stance he has taken? A lot of rumors that Bills fans are on social media and they're and they're organizing their own types of protest of Colin Kaepernick. They may chant USA, USA anytime on every third down that the 49ers have the ball. They may start singing the national anthem while the 49ers have the ball. We don't really know, and it's going to be part of the dynamic on Sunday. I think in the end here is what we have is that he definitely has started a conversation that the country, that we should talk about more. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of I talked to many of the Bills' African American players yesterday. They don't support Kaepernick's not standing for the anthem. They don't agree with that. Shady McCoy, and you had the story today. I mean, he floored everybody saying how he's going to invite police to the game. 20 Buffalo police officers.
Right.
Shady McCoy, of all people, who is coming off the off-season incident with police in Philadelphia. So there's a lot of so much juxtaposition, so many angles, so many layers to the story. And I have talked to Colin Kaepernick before when he was at the press radio dinner a couple years ago, and he was a very engaging young man, athlete, and he was a great guest of honor that night. So, but he has taken his career into a place that he will probably always be known for, and good for him. I wish he wasn't using the anthem in that way, but I did ask him point blank about that. Why the anthem? And he says, "Well, I just can't. My stand for myself wouldn't have the same impact for him by supporting a symbol of a country that he feels oppresses minorities." So.
All right, we've got some Facebook comment, which I kind of figured we would on this topic. And, several people aren't happy that we're talking about this today, and I understand that. Justin Hauser says, can we please get past the kneeling thing? If you support him or not, it's his right. And that's true. It is his right,
absolutely,
whether you support him or not. John Riley says, boycotting football until this despicable fad passes. Maybe longer. I'm not quite sure what the fad is that he's talking about, but I'm imagining the kneeling for the anthem.
The fad being kneeling
is the fad that he's talking about. Rodney Harmon says a few weeks back, now we're going to go to football. A few weeks back, I said Buffalo could go 0-16. What a change, hoping McCoy has the officers show up to this game. Joy Zoronsky-Grashik says, old news, let it go already. Rodney Harmon says he will always be a backup quarterback to Alex Smith. What we're seeing here, Leo, is a very split view on Colin Kaepernick. You're either going to love him or you're going to hate him for this stance that he's taking, and he is drawing conversation. So I guess that was his intention, to shed light on the cause. So, good for him. He's doing that. You want to move on to football?
Yeah, and one last thing on this, Sal, then we will talk about football. But today, I think we saw it in our. Fans need to understand. I got a lot of emails this morning. Yesterday was a very busy news day at One Bills Drive. A lot of angles came out of that. One of the other angles was Rex Ryan's outward support of Donald Trump, and in light of all the controversy surrounding Trump's campaign coming off the debate and all that. I'm not going to get into all that right now. I think people know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But people were angry with me this morning for writing about politics in football. When your head coach goes out and introduces Donald Trump and jumps into the political campaign, I didn't make that up. The media doesn't make that up.
Well,
we're just reporting the news, commenting on the news. That's what we do. People are probably tired of it. I don't blame them. We'll talk about football.
Yeah, let's go to football.
But football and sports, more and more, football and society, it is the lines are blurred more than ever.
Yeah, you're right.
You'll go to ESPN this day, or they'll talk about it. They talk about Kaepernick, I think, every day.
Yeah.
And I know fans are getting a little bit tired of it, but you know what? How much conversation do we? Is it an important topic, and then we've had enough? The conversation should never end. I'm not saying we have to talk about it ad nauseum every day, but the conversation's out there.
Things need to change, and maybe his stance is going to help things change. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's talk about some football. Somebody asked me here. We'll start with this. Mike Weber wants to know, will Darius play this week? Marcel Darius, 4-game suspension, we all know. for substance abuse. Was supposed to play last week, got hurt in the Friday practice, chasing E.J. Manuel, of all guys, and it looks like he's not going to play this week. He hurt his hamstring, sat out the Rams game, and didn't practice on Wednesday. Haven't heard his status today. I don't think he's going to play, Leo. He's a 330-pound guy with a hamstring injury. That's not a good injury for him.
I'll tell you what, if his hamstring's 98%, he should not play.
Yeah.
If you know anything about hamstring injuries, they will linger and they are nagging and they're worse for a man of his size. Well, they're bad for everybody. They're bad for elite athlete, the skill position.
They're
players.
worse for skill position guys, but still, he needs his hamstrings.
The point is, this is probably a game where he can sit.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. They're not very good. The 49ers are not a very good team.
So I would say, maybe he's not going to be there. But imagine this defense when he does get back.
Yeah, well, and somebody wants to know too. Justin Hauser wants to know, Darius and Lawson, please. Any news? Shaq Lawson, they say, is making progress, getting closer. He has to be out for 6 weeks, which is the end of this game, and then he could technically come back to practice starting next week. I don't think he'll jump right into the fray, Leo. He hasn't practiced at all with the Bills. He was their first-round pick, but had the shoulder surgery almost immediately after coming to Buffalo. So I think they're going to work him in slow. They have 3 weeks that he has a roster exemption that they can get him back into the flow. I wouldn't expect him to be ready to play for next week's Miami game, maybe the week after that. And when he does come back, Leo, he's not going to be starting. I mean, people should not think that Shaq Lawson is going to run in here because he's the first-round pick and start. Lorenzo Alexander is playing his position right now, and Alexander leads the league in sacks with 7. Rex Ryan's not sitting that guy out.
No, Lorenzo Alexander's one of the big stories of the NFL right now, and no way does Rex sit him. And but Rex has been asked a lot in the last couple of weeks about Shaq Lawson, and Rex is very encouraged. He's right on schedule, and he will be back. He will be in this lineup at some point. But I know fans are anxious to see him play. So are we. Again, when you have a number 1 pick and an All-Pro out of this lineup, and the team and the defense is playing this well, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is.
And you got to imagine how when they can move those parts into this equation, because the story right now of the Bills and their 3-game win streak, it's all about the D, because we know the offense really isn't lighting it up, other than Shady McCoy looking like he's 21 years old.
Yeah, you're right. The defense has played great. Very surprising, too. No one expected that they would play this well. They've gotten great production out of Alexander, who was a special teams guy that they signed in the offseason. No one had any inkling that this guy was going to be their starting edge rusher opposite Jerry Hughes. He's been terrific. Zach Brown has been one of the stories of the NFL so far. I think he's tied now for the league lead in tackles, no longer holds it by himself. He's played great. The secondary guys have played pretty well. Nickel Roby-Coleman, he scored 2 touchdowns this season for the Bills. I mean, that's more than Sammy Watkins did in his 2 games that he played. So the defense has been really good. You realize too, Leo, I saw this note. I'm going to have it in my 3-and-out package. This is the first time in Rex Ryan's career where he's won 3 straight games by double digits. And that's because their defense has been really good. Their defense has held these opponents down. They've done a really nice job. Offensively, though, this team has some issues. This team still has problems on offense. I don't trust this offense to outscore good teams. They should have no problem this week because San Francisco, like I said, their defense is I think they're 31st against the rush. I want to say they're like 29th or something in points allowed, maybe 26th. Either way, they're terrible. And with Kaepernick playing his first game this week, I'm not quite sure what you're going to expect from the 49ers offense. So I think the Bills offense should be able to do enough this week to win the game. But give me your impression of, in this 3-game winning streak, do you like anything about the offense outside of McCoy?
Well, McCoy's number 1, and the play of the line, obviously, because they really are working in sync. They're playing fantastic. And McCoy, this is the player we saw with the Eagles. His ability to cut in the hole is amazing, and I haven't been I wasn't a McCoy fan last year with some of his attitude. He really it was a really hard year for LaShawn McCoy on a personal level. He sincerely was jolted by getting traded. Yeah. I know it sounds like, hey, suck it up because that's professional sports, but this was a guy that was from. I guess we have to remember that he was from. He's a Pennsylvania guy. Yeah. He's from the Philadelphia region. That was it was a dream to be playing and winning the way they did and the success he had. So I guess it really was a rude awakening for him. But he's over that. I got to believe he's over that because he's been nothing but a true pro on the field and off the field.
He's looked dynamic at times.
Absolutely.
There have been plays in this offense the last 3 weeks where I think the line is playing well, but when the line has broken down, he has made things happen all by himself. He's made 4 and 5 and 6 yard runs that were probably going to be 0 or negative yardage, if not for his great cutting ability. He's a slasher, we know that. And it was good, Leo, to see last week he finally broke one. Because that's the one thing that McCoy really hasn't done since he came to Buffalo. He hasn't had that breakaway type of run. And last week in the second quarter, I think it was, that 53-yarder right up the middle sets up their second touchdown. If McCoy is going to give them dynamic plays like that, that's going to really help this offense because the passing game, as we know, has been terrible. You realize that Tyrod Taylor, 5 games, 3 of them, he had 124 yards or less passing. That's a quarter for Tom Brady, right? When Tom Brady, that's a quarter of work for Brady. The Bills' passing game is in some serious problem right now.
When you see, on a day when Brady comes back and puts up 400 plus.
After not playing a game for 9 months.
And then you look at some of the pedestrian numbers of Tyrod. But, also with Tyrod, though, is that he does, his gift is his legs more than his arm. And when he does entertain and he does make some plays that don't have anything, he does make something out of those. That's what what's doing right now. But you're right. They need to score. They're going to need to score some points at some point because if we're kind of on this path here where they can maybe beat the Niners, beat the Dolphins, be 5-2 going into a rematch with New England. That offense has to get its act together these next few weeks, and these are some teams that they can do it with. So I hope to see some more. But really, Sal, what are we talking about? They don't have Sammy Watkins.
I understand.
They're not going to have him. And the receiving core is what it is. When Robert Woods is did somebody actually say he had a breakout game last week? I was like,
well, he did the week before. 7 catches.
Yeah, and I'm like, we know what we're talking about here. They have what they have, and they have to get by with that. Losing Salas was big too. That didn't help anything.
But they do have they signed Justin Hunter, who I think was a former second-round pick of the Titans. It just didn't work out. He's 6'3". He's got the size that the Bills really lack in the receiving corps. He caught the touchdown pass last week. He made a nice play in the back of the end zone. It was actually his first play as a Bill. And then he really didn't do much the rest of the game. He wasn't on the field
but that's a good red zone option.
Exactly.
And I think you give some love to Charles Clay. He's coming on.
Charles Clay, they need to get more involved for sure. But Justin Hunter, I'm hoping that they're going to get Justin Hunter more involved in the offense. He just joined the team 2 weeks ago. He's still learning the offense. That could be a guy, and I'm not saying he's going to be Sammy Watkins, but that could be a guy who gets this passing game jump-started just a bit. Robert Woods has to continue to do what he does, just needs to do more of it because last week he had 2 catches, almost invisible the whole game. So they've got to find a way to find something in that receiving core that can make defenses respect them. Because at some point, Leo, teams are going to see the Bills can't throw the ball. LaShawn McCoy is really the only option they have on offense, and they're going to start shutting him down. You got to think there's going to be 8 or 9 guys in the box to stop McCoy, right?
Yeah, they're trying to do that now a little more, and obviously that's what you do. It's shut that down, dare Tyrod to beat you, and that's where Clay's got to be big over the middle, do some other things. McCoy even in the passing game.
I'm surprised they haven't used. Are you surprised they haven't used McCoy more in the passing game?
Yeah.
And you know the other thing that surprises me? I don't know why Reggie Bush is on this team, but it seems to me that that's a guy you can bring in and he can play that slot receiver position. I know he can still catch the ball. I'm not quite sure he's the running back that he used to be for sure.
If you get him out in space and give
I
him
think
the ball,
he could help them.
Probably do some things.
But for some reason, they have not utilized him. He had 1 carry last week. I think he's played a total of like 10 snaps all year.
I would have liked, one of the stories late last week too was having Carlos Williams, the prospect of re-signing him. Now he's on the Steelers practice squad. I would have liked to have seen that move. I really would have. Obviously, it didn't work out. I think that running game. I mean, because I just love that 1-2 combination with McCoy and Carlos Williams. Now Gillislee's a little. Gillislee's a nice back too, but he's not. And he's
Carlos
dinged a little
Williams.
bit, and he's not Carlos Williams. I think they had a special player in him. I wish I didn't.
Well, he's on the practice squad. They could always go. They can always go get him. They could. The Steelers could, choose to keep him too. But the Bills really want him. They could do it. I was surprised last week, Leo, that there was talk that he had a scheduled workout and it was canceled. So I'm doubting Carlos Williams canceled because he wants to get back in the league. So maybe the Bills just said, you know what, it's just not worth it, and we're not going to do it. I don't know. I was surprised that it was canceled. And then this week he was supposed to be rescheduled. According to his fiancee on Twitter, it was going to be rescheduled, and then the Steelers jumped in and signed him. So I'd love to know why it was canceled or postponed, whatever the word would be there. But
his fiancee on Twitter.
Yeah, but he's not right now, not coming to the Bills. So maybe that ship has sailed. I don't know.
Maybe it has, and again, now the other piece of news yesterday was Watkins might not need surgery.
Right.
Another surgery. I don't know. Read into it what you want. Rexton's shed much light on it. I suppose. Anytime they say you don't need any more, I suppose that's good.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, we're going to start this thing over again and have them have problems again.
Yeah.
Once he starts having the rigors of a football game.
Well, he's got 8 weeks. He's got to be on IR. He's already been on there for 2, I believe. So I think he's eligible to come back the Jacksonville game, which I think is November 27th. If he can get back, Leo, and that gives him, I think that would give him 5 games left to play. If they're in the playoff
race, in a stretch drive for December.
I mean, if he can play anywhere near the way Sammy Watkins can play, that'd be a heck of a get if he can come back. I still have my doubts whether that foot's ever going to heal this year, and maybe he'll come back and just be the same guy that he was in the first 2 weeks of the year, totally unproductive. But I think if they get him back, he should be able to help him.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Sal, this weekend, it's an interesting game on lots of levels. The Niners they're not a team to go to sleep on. That's for sure. And we've seen upsets.
We've talked about that. And I know Rex was real big on that yesterday.
Yeah,
but Leo, the roster's right in front of you, and you look down there, and you even said to me before the show, "Man, this team's not very good." The Bills should win this game, and it really shouldn't be that hard.
But they got 10 days rest. They played Arizona last Thursday. That's one factor, so it helps them in the travel area. They can pound the ball a little bit, and Kaepernick is a real wild card.
He is. If this was Blaine Gabbert playing, Leo, I had the Bills by 3 touchdowns.
Right.
I think
Kaepernick's a wild card.
Kaepernick does bring that instance of they're not quite sure because this is the first time he's playing in Chip's offense.
Yes.
We haven't seen. There's no tape of Kaepernick in Chip Kelly's offense, so it seems a perfect offense for him with his skill set. So he could surprise, but I don't think in the first game it'll be enough to beat the Bills.
Probably asking a lot of him on the road with a lot of the dynamic going on. Yeah, it'll be very interesting. It'll be this will be one of the you wouldn't normally think a 1-4 team playing any Bills team.
Right.
But this is one of the marquee games in the league this week.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's going to be in Buffalo. So you want to wrap it up?
I'm good.
All right. Good luck writing that story on Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I hope you all read it. It'll be online, I'm sure, Friday or Saturday. Follow my stuff, obviously, on DemocratandChronicle.com. Follow both of us on Twitter. And please subscribe to the podcast. If you have iTunes, it's very simple. Type in Sal Speak. It comes right up. You'll have all the stuff that I do all week long. So for Leo, I am Sal Maiorana. Have a great football week and enjoy the game on Sunday.